LOTRO is alive in 2022, massive gains in player count. Apparently, against all odds, I know, against all odds, I see what you did there. Against all odds, Lord of the Rings Online is popping off now. Can you believe that? When I did my stream checking out the population, it was absolutely barren, and not only that, I wanted to quit within 5 minutes because I hated that game. But somehow, somewhere, their game is popping off again.
Well, hey there everyone, Brightlife here, and I wanted to bring you a quick video on some research that I was doing earlier today that blew my mind, and I was wondering, why is nobody talking about this? This is really, really cool. So,
because nobody
for anyone
cares.
that's a fan of Lord of the Rings Online, or has been peripherally looking at it, you've known that the 15th year anniversary that came and gone saw the largest concurrent peak player count on Steam at a time since, I believe it was like way back like 12 years ago, 13 years ago, at the height of Lord of the Rings power. We saw a peak concurrent player base of 3,744 players, which is massive for a game that over the last couple of years has...
Guys, just so you get like a little sense of it, I think New World at its peak hit 900,000 players. So for a 15-year-old MMO that was absolutely dead, to get 300k people is absolutely redonkulous. It is just bonkers, gazonkers, chonkers, you know? It's crazy, it's crazy. Like, this peak is crazy. Is it gonna last? No. But it's still crazy.
Has barely been able to break 2,000 concurrent players. That's awesome, but there's actually a more significant number that I want to share with you guys that's come out over the last 45 or 50 days, and it's the average player count. I'm going to show you a real quick statistics page here, because what you'll see is in the last 30 days, we've seen an average player base of 1,457 players, and with a percentage gain of 27% over the last 30 days. Now that is a huge number, and I want to show you where this compares, and I want to tell you why I think this is really significant. So if we look across the Steam charts for games like Lost Ark, we can see that this percentage gain for average players has fit somewhere in the realm of, you know, negative 20% in April, and then over the last 30 days up by 25%.
So what was the peak? You know what? Lost Ark is doing a killing. I mean, I get his point. The game peaked at 300k and Lost Ark is doing 400k, which is like supposed to be like a lot more successful, but somehow this is happening. I get it. But like, you seen the New World graph? Like, it was like bang! And Lost Ark is like, you know, holding up like what? 30% of the original peak? That's very good for a fresh MMO. That's pretty good.
Final Fantasy Online had a massive release in April of 2022 of a new patch. It's a really great patch. It was an increase of 48.8%, and then it gained an additional 1.3% over the...
Okay, that's just torturing data to make it say what you want. Of course, LOTRO is gonna have an insane growth if it comes from dead to alive. Like, Final Fantasy already had a player base. So of course, if it grows, it's not gonna be as huge of a percentage because it already has people. If you go from 0 to 300,000, of course it's gonna be a higher percentage than if you go from 300,000 to 400,000 or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
The last 30 days, and then Elder Scrolls Online in April saw a really big bump of plus 21.4%, but then it slid back down by negative 5.13%. But Lord of the Rings Online in April saw an increase of 48.69% of average players, and then an increase in the last 30 days of 20.
He's bragging about an increase of 40% on average players. They went from 700 to 1100. That's the MMO blowing up. Am I bad at math? Am I not seeing the chart right? Okay.
27.61%. Meaning, here's the percentage breakdown for these massive games. Here's the percentage breakdown for average players playing regularly across these games. Elder Scrolls Online has increased by an average of 16.28% average player count.
Why?
Lost Ark has increased by 25.4% average player count. Final Fantasy XIV, with a massive patch, has increased by 50.2%. But Lord of the Rings Online has increased by 76.3% average player base since the beginning of April in 2022. Now, this is a massive, massive thing, because what that means is the average number of players, not just, peak on a Friday night, but the average players playing on a Monday or in the middle of a Thursday or maybe on a Wednesday afternoon is.
Okay, I think I disagree with that one too. I think peak time is a lot more important than average player count in a PvE MMO like Lord of the Rings Online or World of Warcraft or whatever. Like, if you're comparing an MMO that's not based on raiding like EVE Online, average player count is more important, but peak online is a lot more important on a game like LOTRO, because you're trying to raid, and people usually raid at prime time. Most people raid at prime time. So you want the most people there. Like, a sign of a healthy MMO is a very high daily peak. Or maybe not daily peak, but a weekly peak, a very high weekly peak. That means people are actually showing up to raid. I don't know, like, of course, both numbers are important, but the peak is also very important.
Is up by almost double since the beginning of the 15th anniversary. And what's even more significant is, if we look back at the chart, we'll see that the peak player count really peaked off in April and came down in May. And it means that the flash fire players that came on just to kind of check it out and then leave have come and gone. But what we're seeing is we still have a really large amount of players, and that player base is still growing as people have heard more about the game. Now, there's two things to really note about this as we look at our stats. First of all, we are looking at Steam charts. I know that there is a dedicated LOTRO client, just like there's a dedicated Final Fantasy client.
Nobody uses it.
What Steam does allow us to do, what these Steam charts do allow us to do, is we can't see all the raw numbers for the game, but it does tend to be a pretty good indicator of where the player base is in popularity. What that means to me is that if Lord of the Rings Online increases by 76% on Steam, it's probably increased by somewhere around that number on the dedicated client. Same thing with Final Fantasy, same thing with Elder Scrolls Online. If it's increased by that percentage, that's probably where it's probably indicative of the entire game, which is really cool. The second thing is, of course, we are talking percentages here. If we look back over to Lost Ark, we're going to see that 445,000 players are playing right now on an average compared to our 1,400. But I think it's really important that we remember that all games start with a baseline when it comes to these things. And Lord of the Rings Online is just
this game hasn't started, dude. It's 15 years old. Holy crap. Where is it gonna start? We waited 15 years to have people in it.
Smaller game than some of these more massive and large games, and again, that's an okay thing. It's a really significant thing in how many people have come into the game, and it's really fantastic. And here's why I think this matters. An average player count is really, to me, more important than a peak player count. Peak player count, everybody blitzing in on a Friday night and, running a raid or running a group with some friends is good, but I think what really matters to the health of an MMO is being able to jump on a Monday afternoon, walk around the world, and see people playing. And if you're like me, you're someone who has come in, at the 15th anniversary just to kind of check it out, check out this game that we used to love and play like obsessively 15 years ago. And if you're like me, before, you've actually attempted to come back. I think once a year I've downloaded LOTRO, jumped in and seen it, but with an average concurrent player base on Steam of 400 people or 700 people, I would never see anybody. I would be out in this world, but it didn't feel like a shared experience. And I think that's where the beauty of an MMO comes from. If I just wanted to experience some sort of, Lord of the Rings type game, I would go to a single player game because that's what it's designed for. These games have so many elements that require people to be involved. And there's something about, running past somebody else while questing or being able to join an active kinship that really matters. And what I think is significant about this move is, one,
okay, this guy gave a very base take. We're going to talk about that. You know what he just said? Game mechanics require people. Finally, a YouTuber that gets it. God damn. Like people, every time I post the population of a server, I talk about the population of a server, I get people telling me about, but man, the population doesn't matter. We got good scripting, you know, like Kronos has the best scripting, you know. It doesn't matter if we got 10 people on the server, you know, we got good scripting. That's what matters. No. You need people to play. You need people to play. It's an MMO. It's an MMO. Okay? He's right. He's right. And by the way, I know I'm being like very mean to the points he's making. You gotta understand, like this guy is a LOTRO player. He loves LOTRO. I don't. So like, of course, he's gonna be extremely excited by any growth of the game. You know, like I cannot even blame him. Like if my game was blowing up at all, like even if it was from 700 to 1100, I would still be excited. You know what I'm saying?
We are seeing a much more active player base on an average level, not just on a peak level, but on an average level. It's grown by more than any of the other MMOs have, at least percentage wise. And then we're also seeing just the ability to immerse yourself in a world where other people are playing. I would argue that one of the most immersion building things is to see other people running by you when you're questing. Do you remember the first time you played an MMO and you were in the starting area and someone was running to the quest giver, running over to the vendor, and you just went, that's a real person playing this game. That is so phenomenal. Well, I think that still exists in every MMO player, and this shows that there are a lot of people playing and that the game is actually getting more popular even past the 15th anniversary, that the average player count is starting to rise. Now, I'm interested to see, as the hype dies down, what happens, but by all indications, it seems like the game is getting more and more popular. Videos on Lord of the Rings Online on YouTube are getting more and more views. The Twitch streams that are going on are starting to really climb up in the amount of people that are watching this game. And I personally, of course, it's a personal anecdote, but on my stream and in my new kinship, on my kinship in Arkenstone and talking to people, it seems like people are starting to check out the game. They're starting to re-download the game. And I think one of the reasons is because people are coming back to this game and immersing themselves in the world. I'm going to do a little bit more of a video on this later, but I think that the world immersion in this game, the ability to just go slow through Middle-earth with friends, quest alongside other Tolkien nerds, is just one of the best things about this game. It's really what makes the game unique. And so I hope that if you were interested in Lord of the Rings Online, but you've been wondering, should I jump in? Should I jump in? Is it a dead game? This is very much not a dead game. It has almost doubled in average player size over the last 45 days, and I'm just really, really excited about this. I hope that Standing Stone Games is getting some encouragement from the feedback from players, because I know I've had a lot of feedback, I've had a lot of encouragement, but at the end of the day, hats off to Standing Stone for having their game be more full than it's been in the last 9 years, really. And that is an awesome, awesome thing. And really, to me, anytime an MMO grows, it's a really good thing for MMO players. In fact, I'm really excited seeing even, Lost Arks and ESOs and Final Fantasy's numbers. It seems like a lot more people are starting to play MMOs now, and that can only be good for our genre, because I really do believe that rising tides rise all ships when it comes to games like this. Well,
another factor of this that I think is very important: the more the MMO market grows, the bigger chance a developer sees this and creates an MMO that doesn't suck. So, it's best for everybody. It is true. I like that saying. We don't have that saying in Spanish. This is great. The rising tide lifts all boats. I'm gonna steal that phrase.
Hey, that was just a really quick video on something that I found. I hope more people start talking about this average player base almost doubling over the last 45 days. And even after the peak of the 15th anniversary, this massive amount of people that are in. Are you enjoying the game? I'd love to hear from you. Are you in? Are you considering? Is it something that you found a new passion with? Maybe you tried it and it wasn't really for you. I'd love to hear where you guys are. Let me know in the comments below. I do read every one of those. It really means the world to me. And if you liked this video, there's more like it coming. It means the world if you subscribe to the channel. So hit that sub button if you'd like to, hit that like button, let me know that you liked it. And as always, friends, you are more loved than you know, and you are so much more valuable than you realize. And I hope I get to see you in the next video. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave it a like.
Okay guys, this is Brightlife Gaming. He only has 171 subscribers. Be nice. Okay, be nice. Give him some love. Like, he saved me all the research for doing this. I am too lazy. Okay, give him some love. I put the link on the channel. If this ever goes to YouTube, it's also gonna be on the comments or in the description or wherever I feel like putting it. Give him some love, man. Like, he put a lot of work in this. It's always good to have news on the less appreciated MMOs. You know, we see a lot of Lost Arks, we see a lot of, I don't know, like World of Warcraft. It's nice to see somebody that talks about the smaller MMOs. I played many a dead MMO in my time. I mean, that's sad. Closing thoughts for a minute. I think LOTRO is still pretty heckin' dead. I don't think this growth is gonna last, probably, unless the developers find a way to do more and more events like this, which they absolutely should. And here's another problem that happens to a lot of dead MMOs. When an MMO starts dying, the developer tries to do shit like giving a lot of crap away for free that breaks people's characters, that makes characters like 70 times more powerful, and the player base spikes for a little. And what happens after that is that the challenge of the game is gone because they gave people so much free stuff that leveling is not fun anymore. So it's like very tricky to balance. If they can pull it off, that's good for everybody. I do believe in that. Even though I tried Lord of the Rings Online on my stream, we did an entire video of that. Within 5 minutes I wanted to quit that game. Even if it's not my cup of tea, if it succeeds, it is good for everybody. And subscribe to Brightlife Gaming, the link is on the chat. And okay, let's catch up with the chat a little bit.